get into this. So he says,
but God will not be conformed and constrained to your limited, finite ability and capacity. You minimize him the moment you try to put your hands on him.
Okay, so I get the spirit of that, you know, minimizing him as soon as you put your hands on him. I mean, didn't St. Thomas put his hands on Jesus and basically touch Jesus? Was Jesus minimized? You know, Jesus comes in the flesh, right? God comes in the flesh, and I think this is a big point here, right? That we're going to park on, that Jesus comes in the flesh, and Jesus offers his hand to doubting Thomas, right? Doubting Thomas doesn't believe that Jesus was real, a human being that was actually resurrected. And Jesus says, hey, check me out. Look at this hand. Study my hand. Okay? Study my hand, if you will. Touch my hand. But yeah, so Jesus is not, I don't think Jesus is minimizing himself by doing that. Okay, but let's keep going.
That's why the idea of theology or the study of God is so asinine and sophomoric to me. The pride to think that God would sit in your petri dish to be observed by you and to be dissected by you is foolish.
Okay, so let's park here. Let's start there, or stay here, because he's saying that obviously he's saying theology's stupid. He thinks theology's stupid. Okay. Well, okay, great. So let's ask that question. Is theology stupid? Is theology stupid? All right. Well, where do we begin? Let's begin at the very beginning. The Gospel of John, chapter 1. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Okay, so this is John's intro to his gospel. Now, I want you to notice something, if you don't know this already. John begins with the word, this phrase, the word, or this word, the word. And this word is translated logos. Okay. Now I'm in my NET here and I'm not seeing them parse it. But this word, for word, let's go to Bible Hub, our trusty online Bible resource. Bible Hub, Bubble Hub. John 1, verse 1. And let's go to our Greek. And so John 1, verse 1 says, in the beginning, anarche en ho, logos. In the beginning was the word, the logos. Okay? So this word logos is the word where we get theology from. So I want you to see this in the passage. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, theon, okay? And the Word was God. And what's that word for God? Theos. Okay, so we have two words working here in Greek. The word logos and the word theos. Okay, so what is theology? Theology is a composite word, a composite of two Greek words, theos and logos. And where do we see theos and logos together? In John chapter 1, verse 1, where it says the Word was God. It was with God, and it was in the beginning with God, and it was God. But of course, they're talking about not just the logo, any logos. They're talking about the logos. But let's just, before we get there, explain this word logos. So this word logos, is a word as embodying an idea. It is a statement. It is a speech. And its usage is a word or a speech or a divine utterance or an analogy. So the idea here is that logos is an idea, but it is really regarded as connected to the mind. Where do ideas form? In the mind. So the logos, who is Jesus Christ, the eternal logos, that's what John is calling Jesus by his eternal name, logos. Jesus was with God. He was with God, and all things were made through him, and he was God. Now, his relation to the Father is that Jesus is the logos of the Father. He is the thought of the Father. He is the idea of the Father, which actually helps us a lot, because when we're wondering, oh, what is the Father thinking? Well, the Father's thinking Jesus. and by thinking Jesus through his thought, all things are being created, because Jesus is the thought of God. But again, let's think this through here. Jesus, if God has thoughts, that means God is rational. Well, if God is rational, then what is the reason of God? The reason of God is Jesus Christ. So John the Apostle is starting the Gospel of John out by saying that Jesus Christ represents the logic of the universe. Jesus Christ represents the reason for all things and of all things. That in Jesus Christ is found the answers to all questions. Jesus Christ is reason. Jesus Christ is rational thought. And so when we talk about, again, going back to theology, the question of, is theology biblical? Is theology foolish? Is theology asinine? Well, theology is theos and logos. The study, the logos, the reason of God, the study of God. And so, when John Gray is talking about, theology being asinine, he's saying that thinking about God is asinine. He's saying that studying God is asinine. He's saying that God is irrational. He's saying that God cannot be understood. Now, that would go directly against the very identity of Jesus Christ, who is the reason of God, who is the logic of God, the logos. Jesus is so rational that John uses the word logos, which the Greeks understood as meaning reason, to explain who Jesus was. That's how rational Christianity is. Christianity is here, in other words, Christianity is here to tell us the truth. The truth about God and the truth about the universe that God has created, all things. And that truth is a light. And that's why John goes on and says, the light shines on in the darkness, but the darkness has not mastered it, has not overcome it. Think about that. Think about, it says, in him was life, and the life was the light of mankind. So we start with the life of Jesus, and then the shining of Jesus's life as a light to the world. Now, what does light do? What does light do? Light illuminates. Light causes us to see things as they are. Light causes us to see reality for what it is. And the correspondence of our mind to reality is what we call truth or reason. And so we are what we are told in the scriptures that Jesus is the life of mankind, but also the light that shines in darkness. Now it's contrasting light with darkness. What does darkness do? Darkness covers things up. Darkness conceals things. Darkness says, you can't know God. You can't put God in a petri dish. You can't study God. You can't get truth. That is so asinine. That is so foolish. That's darkness. That's not light. Hey guys, this is Gabriel Finocchio from The Reactionary Christian, and what you've just seen is only a taste of what goes on in a regular episode of TRC. So if you want to watch the full uncut video, please check us out on Rumble in the description below. And remember to stay reactionary.